The block, to the moms, to the homies lost, to the ones fighting demons in silence, to the kings and queens that forgot their crown. We four brothers coming straight from mud, hitting the web not for clout but for purse bills. Here, Rhythm Night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, hell first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the night time, tune in, feel the vibe. We 4 deep like corners on a block, mics hot in the lab, cooking truth non-stop, no gimmicks. This ain't clickbait chatter, this heartbeat, struggling soul, blacker than batter. Got fam trying to heal, broke bills on the table. Talk health, mental wealth, if we able, we enable. From the hood to the web, we built this escape. Tired of seeing kings trapped in a lowercase fate. Click clack on the keys, we ain't just pie, we preach it. Street slang, health hacks, real talk preaching. See the system rigged, trying to cage our minds, but we cracking the code like it's Columbine. I'm the brother with the blueprint, knowledge in my stash. Turn trauma to armor, pain into cash. 1 mic, 4 voices, no filters, no mask. We ain't just streaming, we building that path. Freedom Night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, health first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the nighttime, tune in, feel the vibe.
Oh yeah, 4 mics, 1 mission. Nighttime, nighttime.
I seen young bloods.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Night Brothers Show. Andre, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm good. You see, I'm repping my Purple Rain shirt, 10-year anniversary of Prince's death.
Man, yeah. We
One of the
understand we're
greatest
celebrating the
entertainers
10th anniversary. Yeah, 10th anniversary of his death today. So that was one of my all-time favorites, Andre, as you and I talked about earlier today. But anyway, welcome to the Night Brothers Show, the show where your opinion matters. And tonight, man, we got a hot one tonight, guys. And as we always tell you, this is the show where your opinion matters. So we welcome your questions and your comments. I want to welcome Cheryl Queen to the show, Margaret Nick to the show. As you come on, say hello so we can give you a shout out. But tonight, guys, Mimi Lee, how you doing, dear? Tonight, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. This brother has come into Anne Arundel County and just made such a significant difference in the lives of our children. And we're just appreciative of what he's done and what he's going to do in the future for our children down around the county. Dr. Mark Bedell is going to be our special guest, guys. Andre, how you feel about that, brother?
Hey, that's my boss. That's your boss. Now I think about it.
You better come correct then, brother. You better come correct.
No, but you know what? You know what's great is we're gonna separate the two, and we're gonna still ask the hard questions, right? Because we want the people to know.
That's what we do. Look, he wouldn't
That
respect
is a perfect.
you. He wouldn't respect you if you didn't. We have to do that.
That's right.
That's not solid. Welcome
I
to
love your.
TNC.
I love that response. How you said that, Andre. Well, that's my boss. So you.
Welcome
All right,
Arden to
man.
the line. As others come in, we want you to say hello as you come on board. But man, let's get this thing started, man. We don't want to waste too much time because we got a lot to cover tonight.
Okay, sounds good.
Man, I just want to lay in the shade, get in those shade, you know what I mean? And pontificate on life. We vibing under the city lights. Wherever the wind go take us. If it's good, we make it contagious. Said we vibing, laying on black sand beaches, thinking of what life teaches. So
Yeah, we're definitely vibing tonight, guys. And tonight's vibe, man, as I said earlier, is a fantastic one. Our vibe tonight, but our featured guest for a return engagement, I might add. Our special guest is Dr. Mark Bedell, the Superintendent of Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And guys, we have a lot of information we want to share with you tonight. If you care about the children in this county and children everywhere, you need to be tuning in so you can hear the data and the information of what's going on in our county and what's ahead for our children in our county. And this brother's going to break it all down for us. So, Lenny, let's get back to you. Let's bring.
All right.
There
Welcome
he
to the
is. There
show.
he is. Welcome, Dr. Bedell. How you doing, my brother?
Man, gentlemen, I'm doing pretty well. Excited to be here. I had a good time last year when we did this podcast. I like the vibe. I like the music. All of it, puts you in a good mood to get out here and really talk about the issues that are important to all of us.
Thank you so much. And brother, right off the bat, I just wanted to say that we appreciate you. We know that right now, this time of the year, your days are very long. And for you, at the end of that day, to take the time to join us speaks volumes about your character and how you feel, and how important it is for you to reach out to the community as well. So we thank you and commend you for that, my brother.
Yes, sir. That's I think we have to give fair time into everybody who's trying to, ultimately spread the good news of what's happening in Anne Arundel County. And so it may very well mean giving up some Saturdays, showing up to late night events. I was at Ram's Head a couple of nights ago, listening to our APEX students perform, and we didn't get out of there until about 9:30, 9:45. But that's
wow.
You want to get out here and you want to show your support, and that's what we're here to do.
Well, we appreciate that. Andre, you have anything you want to add, sir?
Well, I just want to say, I've been with the school system for some time, and I don't know, and I don't want to throw shade or shots fired, but I feel like I don't know if your predecessors had that same approach, right? Of really kind of especially being in tune with the community and being out, being amongst the people, and so I think that's one thing that definitely sets you apart from others, Dr. Bedell, is that, like you said, being involved and out in the community, and people, often don't just look at you as like, oh, there he is. He's like, no, there he is. He's part of our community. That's Dr. Bedell, our superintendent, and really kind of drawing that community together. So, we definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, man. I'm trying to see you on that space table again, too.
Ooh, shots fired.
Hey,
Shots
that's because
fired.
He knows I smoked him on that space table.
His cars are rigged. So I don't know if you all know, like we're a part of the same fraternity chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So we managed to play spades, and it was just crazy, man. Like I don't know how many hands where I only had one spade, or like one out of 13, one spade, and I had that multiple hands. I'm like, dude, these cars are rigged, man.
Hey, sir, now look, come on, now excuses. Give me excuses. Spit excuses for me. Don't make them. Don't make them.
The incompetent with monument to nothingness. Those who specialize in using them seldom succeeds at anything. All right, you're right.
All right, well, I'm sure you'll get a chance for revenge. You'll get a chance for revenge later on, I'm sure. So anyway, all right, let's get this thing cranking.
People in the community, a key welcome Kevin Smith, who's also very active in the community for the
Kevin Smith, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for
his new project for the culture, and also Elder James. Thank you for telling us the volume was low, and that's what we count on our listeners to do to help us out, so that you guys can get a good broadcast. All right. So,
Elder James is part of a Cal organization, correct? Carl Snow is part of Carl Snow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. Caucus of African American Leaders in Annapolis City. Look, we're going to jump into some data that Dr. Bedell was able wanted to share, and we wanted to share with you as an audience. So we're going to start there, audience, tonight, and we're going to dive right into it. Dr. Bedell and Andre, I'm going to tell you to take it from here, sir.
All right. Well, we are ready to get into it. We're currently, every year around this time, generally starting in December, we start to go on the road and we start to educate people on what the year-end data looks like. As you all know, we don't get our ESSA report cards, which is every Student Succeed Act report card. We don't get all of that in until sometime in November. So once we get all of that data in, now we have an opportunity to go out, speak to the various councils, whether it's Annapolis City Council, the Anne Arundel County Council, a lot of different advocacy groups and organizations, the CAL, all of those people. We present on basically the state of the schools. So that's what we're going to do today. So if we can get into it, so we can open it up for some questions. Let's get to the first slide, which is our district profile. I just think it's important for our viewers to understand that the size of this school district is really considered a massive size school district. In this country, you have somewhere around 13,500 school districts in the United States. Anne Arundel County is the 37th largest school district in the U.S. With a little bit over 84,000 students, and we're the fourth largest district in Maryland. And our district is becoming a more and more diverse school district. We are, when you look at African American, Hispanic, Asian, two or more races, we are now a majority of our school district combined are children of color. So it's a different dynamic here in Anne Arundel County that I just personally feel we have to take into account as we're doing the work of making sure that we're lifting up every single student. So let's get into it and get into some data. This next slide talks about our retention rates. The data that I'm going to share with you in a few minutes, it is not possible if we don't have instructional staff. So for our viewers, instructional staff are teachers. Non-instructional staff would be all of the support staff that supports the teaching that happens inside of the classroom. And for a district this large, we have nearly 6,000 teachers. To have a 95.7% retention rate says a lot. We hit a rate during this school year where we were only sitting at 26 teacher vacancies. And when you look at that, that's kind of unheard of. It's unheard of in most school districts. These numbers, it far exceed even pre-pandemic numbers, what we're able to do right now in Anne Arundel County. And so we're in a really good situation from a staffing standpoint where we're not having a lot of turnover. We don't have bus driver vacancies. We have 0 bus driver vacancies. We have a 10% bench. So when school bus drivers call in, we're not having to interrupt and stop routes. Just a far cry from what it was when I first started in 2022. And it's a lot to, that we have to commend our building administrators and folks of that nature for what they're doing. Let's go to the next slide. So on this next slide, I've often talked about inequities that are created, and I've always given 2 definitions of inequities. One is the definition is around the inequities that are created based on how the system in the United States has been built that has disadvantaged certain people, based on their race, based on gender, based on their poverty level. And then you have the other one where it's adult-centered decisions that we've made that ultimately create inequities in our school district. So I came in and said, we're going to start dismantling the things that I know I have power over, right? That first one is a lift of the greater community, because it's embedded in our system, the fabric of our system, how people see certain people in our community. But we also make decisions with good intentions. And one of them was these early release days that plagued this school district for well over 20 years. We had 12 early release days. And what I saw in the data is a lot of our community schools were dipping below 90% in their attendance rates. And then free and reduced lunch students were dipping below that. So what we were doing was forcing people who already are probably on an hourly salary to make a decision. Do I bring my kid to school on these early release days, or do I keep them and not go to work because it's cheaper, because I can't provide daycare coverage? So we got legislation passed, and we can already see the promise already. All of this green you see, this is a significant, anytime you can go up 0.2 or 0.3% on attendance rates, you're doing something. Anything above that is significant. And so when you start seeing 0.5%, a full percent, 1.5% in the community schools,
Almost
look at the
2%.
African American kids, a 2% growth. We've almost eliminated the attendance rate gap by getting rid of these early release days. And so next year, we'll only have 4. And those 4 will be because of unity days. So this is a game changer. A number of school districts across the state are trying to do it. Unfortunately, the legislative session ended and none of the school districts got it. But we are producing a research paper on this that we're going to publish in every research magazine on the type of harm that we've been doing to, in particular, families that are poor, ELL families, African American families, and some districts been doing this for decades. And so we're going to lead in helping people to understand you can change that and not harm children. So I wanted to share this data because it's already showing a lot of promise.
Well,
Next
Dr.
slide.
Bedell, I have to
Go,
ask
go
this
ahead.
question. I want to ask this
Yes.
question. So obviously coming into Anne Arundel County Public Schools when you came in 2022, you probably looked and there probably was like a plethora of things you probably looked and said, I would like to change this, I'd like to change that, maybe, but I need to wait. So how do you make the decision of what you're going to really focus on, when you're going to focus on it? Because obviously that slide you just showed is so important, right? That the numbers really speak to that change and the positive impact it has. But when you look at everything, the big grand scheme of things, how do you really make decisions on we need to attack this right now and save this and what have you?
I knew this would take 3 years. It's rare that you get legislation to go through in 1 year unless you're lucky enough to be the governor, right? Or maybe the speaker of the house or something like that. So I knew it was going to take 3 years. So it was one of the first things that I said to the school board, we first of all, I just didn't agree in us having to be required to do 180 days and hours. I've never worked in a state where you had to do both. It was either one or the other. In most of the states I worked in, it was an hours-based system. So it gives us a lot more flexibility in our schedule, and it gives us protections that we can utilize so we don't have to extend the school year when we have bad weather. So I knew it was a problem because in 2022, when I started, our kids did not get out of school until June 24th because they had a bad winter, and it was all of the complaints were coming in. But to answer your question, I do due diligence. I research, I study, and then what I try to do is look at what are the small wins that I can get immediately. If I come in and do this, because I know they're having a problem with it, i.e. bright space. I knew everybody did not like bright space. So I said, I'd come in and boy, that can give me, I can build some quick capital with the community and quick capital with the staff by just making some adjustments. So guess what? One of my first things I did was put a video out. So that already gave me, it's all about getting the small wins. So when you get the small wins, then you can start to attack the bigger things, right? And so
Yeah.
that's really how I've always approached it and how I try to coach aspiring soups that are going into the superintendency, how you can get in and get some quick wins.
And I know we want to move on, but I got to bring this point. You mentioned bright space. I remember, so when your first year, I was one of the first schools you visited when I was a principal. And I remember when you walked in, one of your probably your second question was, what do you think about bright space? Right? I
Yep,
remember that.
I
I
have
do
one
too.
additional question, Dr. Bedell. How much, even though you wanted to implement these things, how community can be very, very fickle at times. How much pushback did you get from the board and from parents in trying to institute some of these changes?
I mean, yeah, we still get pushed back now. I mean, this middle school reform that we're trying to do right now, there's people trying to find a way to kill it already. And so what I've always done is I've said to people that, my experience as a former engineering high school principal of a very prominent engineering program taught me that you pilot things for a reason, right? If you want to figure out how to evolve and how to better serve children and get better outcomes, you can't continue to do things the same way because it's comfortable and it's because what we've done. So what I always tell people is, for me, fail is not failure for me. It's always a first attempt in learning. That's the
Yeah.
engineering mindset, right? You learn that it's not a failure. You're learning for what didn't work and how do you improve on it so it can work. And then once you figure out how to make it work, somebody's going to come right behind you and they're going to figure out how to make it even more efficient and better. And so I've always operated with that mindset that, we can get in here and we can pilot things. It doesn't harm anything. And if it don't work, we just don't do it. We tried to do tappers earlier this year in the Crofton cluster. So they would use their IDs to tap to get onto the buses, school buses. It didn't work. It failed. So guess what? We abandoned it. and it's
Gotcha.
okay, but at least we tried something. And so
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
try to really use that narrative when I'm speaking to the board, and then when we're getting pushback, to help people understand you can't become a great school district by not being willing to try things different and trying to be the first to get out there out the gate. And that's just how I lead. And so
Yeah.
by doing that, then you get the kind of results that we're getting, right? Because now, like, our state report card came out, we got record high 5-star schools under this accountability system.
Mm.
And now that gives me leverage to say to people, well, these things that we're trying are working. If they weren't working, why would I be able to say to you that we've increased our 5-star schools 36% higher of an increase than a year ago? And
Mm.
this has been it. So we are at 13% of our schools are 5-star schools compared to 7% at the state, right? And so we've actually widened that gap with the percent of 5-star schools against the state. If you look at the next slide, 3-star schools that are rated 3 stars or better, look at this, folks. 95% of our schools have a 3-star rating or better, right? Which is what you want. So when I started in 2022, we had 9 schools that were 2 stars. You know how many 2-star schools we have right now in Anne Arundel County? 4. And I'm working
Wow.
to eliminate those. I don't want a single 2-star rated school in this district. And that's our
Mm.
push right now. So this data is showing that the progress that we're making in this school district is noticeable. It's being recognized by MSDE. It's being recognized by other entities. How does a school gets 5 stars? It's based on a number of criterias. It's based on, I'll say for high schools, graduation rates, access to a robust curriculum, how the kids perform on their end of course exams in math, reading, science, social studies. It's graduation rates. It's and
Attendance.
it's uh and it's attendance. It's all of those things. And then it's also the survey. There's a climate survey that teachers and students have to take, and school districts get points based on how the perception of your school is. And even on those surveys, although I don't have it on this slide deck, we went up almost in every single area, both by teachers and students, on those climate surveys last year. So then
Awesome.
they calculate all of these points, and that's how you end up getting your star rating on the Maryland report card. So
Awesome.
it's test
Awesome.
scores along with other things.
Thanks for breaking that down for our audience. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some of the other things that we're doing, because people will dog us out about our MCAP scores and end of course exam scores. And people have a right to do that, because the reality is we have a broken assessment system in this state. And I called it out once I made a decision that we were going to require all of our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to take the pre-SAT, and all
Mm-hmm.
of our 11th graders were going to take the SAT. I was able to get some profound data. And when I saw the data that was coming in, it didn't make sense that our kids were performing well on these national assessments, but we barely can have 8% of the kids pass the 8th grade math assessment at the state. And so ultimately, it's not possible for 9th graders to go in and take the pre-SAT 2 months after they've been on a summer break, and they're magically outperforming the state of Maryland, the global testers, national testers in math and reading on the pre-SAT. It's not possible. There's no way you can go from only 8% of the kids passing the 8th grade math test to now we outperforming global testers on the pre-SAT. So I shared that data with the state, and I said, there's a disconnect here. And then that's when they put me on the assessment task force, and we learned that our state assessments are completely flawed. They're being overhauled as a result of this work, but it
Wow.
makes
Okay.
Wow.
districts look makes districts look a lot worse than they actually are. And we're the only district in the state that actually requires all of our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to take the pre-SAT and then the actual SAT. Private schools do it. We're doing what private schools do for
That's a
all
good.
of our
That's
Have
a,
you noticed? Have you noticed? And I'm off screen. This is Lenny asking the question. Have you noticed with the pre-SATs, college, more students from the county attending college and enrolling?
Here's what I would
What's the
tell you.
what's the correlation there?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the correlation will be that will increase because the reality is we already have a high percentage of kids who go to college in Anne Arundel County, right? Remember, there was a one point where the pre-SAT and SAT didn't matter in a lot of universities. So you saw potentially a dip in it, but now universities are starting to require it again. And so for us, for me, I know what my daughter wants to go to Howard. The average
Yeah.
SAT score to get in Howard is a 1200. So now I can look at her ninth grade data and backward map now over the next 3 years what it is we need to work on so we can make sure that she gets that 1200 when she takes the actual SAT in the spring of her junior year going into her senior year. Right. And so it gives us this information at a much earlier rate that ultimately, in my opinion, helps to put more kids on a college track. And because we've done this, folks, we had one National Merit Scholar semifinalist when I started in 2022. Tomorrow night, we will be announcing 9.
Wow.
Tomorrow night at the school board meeting, we will be announcing 9 National Merit Scholar semifinalists in Anne Arundel County. And so you can see this data. Look at the data for African American kids, folks. Right? We talk about access. Look at how we jumped from the year I got the first year. I was 982 before I came. We're at 3,400 kids now taking the pre-SAT.
Jeez.
Look at the number of kids that are earning their college and career readiness benchmarks. That has gone up for Black kids from 371 to 870. In each of these years, we've had gains. Look at SAT. We've gone from 621 test takers to 1,061, and look at the difference. And again, because more kids are having exposure, more kids now are meeting their college and career readiness in markers because we're requiring kids to do it.
And I would say,
So,
Dr. Bedell, also, I would also say that in addition to giving, the school system some great data to look at, it also, to me, it's a confidence builder for the students, right? The more opportunities they have to take this, they're going to feel that much more confident each time they take it and feel like they're going to do better and better and better. So that exposure is paramount.
It is, because it's an anxiety that comes with this assessment, but it's also a stamina, because you need to understand that it's a time test. So if the kids are taking pre-SAT 3 times, by the time they go to take the SAT, anxiety is gone. They have familiarity with it. They're going in feeling confident. So go to the next slide. Look at what it's doing for Hispanic students in our school district. And if you look at this, folks. We went from 402 to 2,900.
Jeez.
In a 3-year period, right?
Wow.
And then look at the number of, while we still have work to do, I'll be the first to admit to you, right? The SAT, we've gone from 337 kids taking it to 1,015. I want more kids to meet that college and career readiness indicator, but 183 more kids meeting it. That's really helping support us with what we're doing with Blueprint. Let's go to the next slide. Here's your free and reduced lunch students. Same trends, everybody. This is all about access. These were kids. If we don't provide this for free, the only kids who are going to be able to take this test are the kids who have parents who have the money to pay for them to take it.
Yes.
That's what it's been, right? But now, because we paid for it, look at this. For farm students, we've gone from 1,300 to 4,900, right? You can see the same thing again on the students meeting CCR. It's nearly tripled. College and readiness on the SAT, 744, a 210-point gain. So again, this is the kind of trends that you want to see. Let's go to advanced placement, because advanced placement on the next slide, this was the one that I came in my listening and learning tour and got pushed back on. People were basically telling me, why do you think every kid that wants to take it should be able to take it? It's like, not everybody who wants to go and play professional basketball can play professional basketball. And my pushback was that analogy, and I said this in a community meeting, that I remember out at Southern High School. I said that analogy falls flat for me, because at least for kids who want to play pro basketball, they can dribble a ball up and down a sidewalk or a driveway. They can turn a trash can into a hoop. They can turn a milk basket into a hoop. I said, but for kids with AP, they don't ever get a chance if they don't even get invited to take the courses. So I
Yes.
made a decision. We're going to get rid of the gatekeeper model in Anne Arundel, effective immediately when I started, and everybody thought our scores would go down. Look at the all students. It's gone up well over 2,000 students. Look at your African-American students. It's jumped up double from
Double.
626 to 12. Look at your Hispanic students, nearly doubled, right? Look at your free and reduced lunch students. It's more than double. So don't tell me that because these kids show up with variables and poverty and all that, that they're not intelligent. I'm sick of that. Look at the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide's going to give you, look at the percent of increases, folks. A 45% increase in all students, 100% increase in African-American students, an 81% increase in Hispanic students, and 115% increase with the number of students that are on free and reduced lunch that are now taking AP classes in Anne Arundel County. Go to the next slide, because it gets better. It gets better. So on this slide, look at the threes or better, everybody. These are your qualifying scores. So in Anne Arundel County, everybody was thinking the data was going to go down. Well, here's what I'm here to tell you. The data actually went up every single year, the more access we gave. So look at the scores of threes, 5,600 now to 9,670, 1,800 more students. Really, over my 3 years of being here, if you add that up, that's 1, 2, 3,000, almost 4,000 more students that are scoring a 3 or better. Look at your African-American kids. We've gone from 362 to 1,016. Hispanic, 311 to 940. Free and reduced lunch students, 516 to 1145. Go to the next slide. We're almost done, so we can field some questions. And so then you can see the percent of increases. All students, 71%. African-American, 181% increase of kids scoring a 3 or better, right? These are classes these kids don't have to pay for when they go to college. Hispanic students, 202%. Free and reduced lunch students, 122%. And then go to the next slide. So when we do these things, so here's what I want to tell you. I forgot to share this with you. So the district scores of kids scoring a 3 or better have increased from 60% to 67.5% over a 3-year period. We are almost at 70% of our kids scoring a 3 or better in Anne Arundel County. Our data has only gone up. So that tells me we got all of these intelligent kids walking our hallways in our schools who are never being given access because of how they look and how people perceive that they show up. Those days are over with now. And we think that by doing these things, we're going to continuously see an increase in graduation rates. We had 1 year when Anne Arundel County cracked over 90% in the last 10 to 15 years, and that was the COVID year because everybody got a pass. And I didn't understand why Anne Arundel County can't hit 90%, but I figured it out. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We require our kids to graduate with 26 credit hours when everybody else around us require our kids to graduate with 23. That's Montgomery County, Howard County, Baltimore City. We make our kids take more elective classes than they need. So we got kids who met all of the requirements that the state says you need to meet, but because of those additional elective classes, we have kids who did not get a high school diploma. Those days are over with. Effective July 1, we will be moving to 23 credit hours like everybody else.
So, Dr. Bedell, I have to ask this question, right? I've seen this data quite a few times, and every time I see it, it's always astonishing, right? The results and just to see the growth. Why you? Like, how is it that you came in and were able to get these results compared to, again, and I'm not throwing shade at your predecessors, but why were you able to come in and get these type of results?
Well,
What's
I think it's
different?
Mr. Dillard, I think it's around expectations. I'm trying to pull something up to share with you all. Actually, I'll share it with you all in a little bit. It's expectations, man. This what I'm doing right now is no different than what I did as a teacher. It's no different than what I did when I was a high school principal. You guys can come up to my office and I'll show you my data from when I was a high school principal. The same patterns. You have to be very intentional in your data. You have to
Yes.
know your stuff. You can't depend on other people, right? I'll do a workshop and don't need to have staff there because I can answer all of the stuff on my own. But I internalize on this data. And so when people want to debate, hey, I'm ready. We can take it to the streets on, what, like I tell people, if Fox 45 wants to come to our district and they want to run a negative story, you best believe I'm going to say, where you at when we doing all of this good out here in this county? So these people are not going to bother you when you have good data and you can defend your data. And that's what we've been able to do because I focus on data. I require us to do deep data dives at senior team meetings. We weren't doing deep data dives in Anne Arundel. We were a good school district, everybody. We are a turn the light on, turn the light off district. And that is I'm not throwing shade to Dr. Arlotto, because I think Dr. Arlotto left this district in a really good situation for me, right? I think ultimately people are here to take a district to a certain point, and then new people come in. Just like what I did in Kansas City. I took it to where I need to take it, and now somebody else needs to come in, and they need to take over. And I feel like that's kind of, I was brought in here to have that focus to make Anne Arundel County have a national presence and also make us one of the top performing districts, not only in this state, but in this country. And that's where we're heading.
Well, Dr. Bedell, the numbers don't lie. Really, the numbers don't lie, and it's obvious with what we've seen tonight that the numbers tell the story. But it also correlates to how when the county sees those type of numbers, that the funding that comes from the county they should want to get behind and support this to make Anne Arundel County school system an even better and bigger and stronger school system. So it kind of correlates in that sense. Would you agree with that?
100%. And here's what I can tell you. We've gotten record high funding every year I've been here. The first year I came in, that budget, was already set, but I believe it was also record high. It wasn't, I don't know that was a record high year. Here's what I could tell you. Once I got done with my listening and learning tours, we had a record high year in pay increases and everything else. And that is part of the reason why you see that 95% retention rate, all of those things that we're doing, it's made a huge difference. And so we're in a much better situation, and I'm anticipating really good news when the county executive announces his budget on May 1st.
And I want to piggyback off of that, something you just said, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that how you've gone out of your way. And I can speak to this personally because I must admit, much like Mr. Dillard, I am an employee of Anne Arundel County Public Schools. But you have gone out of your way with retention of not only teachers, but for staff in general throughout the county. The things you have implemented for the school system as a whole, pay raises, days off, and things, all the little things, the little perks that you've added to make Anne Arundel County a more attractive destination for people seeking employment. And kudos go to you. And Andre, would you like to follow up on that as well?
No, I agree. And I think, thinking about just being innovative, I want to segue into and I'm somewhat biased about this, but I think one of your biggest things that you brought to the county was the mentoring initiative, right? Because, when you show those data points and you talk about a graduation rates and you talk about, really countering chronic absenteeism, I feel like our mentoring initiatives really fights against all of those things, that are negative, and it increases the things that are positive. So, and just recently you were honored, you were awarded with the first ever inaugural Dr. Mark T. Bedell Mentoring Award, right? I would like to hear more about, and I've heard it from you, but I think the audience needs to hear, like, why is mentoring such a passion to you, and how did you envision, or why did you envision that mentoring would be able to kind of have an impact here in our school system?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be just because, again, for me, I didn't have a stable upbringing. I was in and out of homes, a ward of the state of New York. It was positive adult advocates who came into my life. Right? And I think, listen, you'll hear the same thing about this incoming superintendent coming into Baltimore City. I just want to put this out there. Like, I'm going to wrap my arms around him and do everything I can to help him succeed. But his story is just like mine, right? We both went through a lot growing up homeless. Odds were stacked up against us. What allowed me to make it was positive adult advocates. So when I realized the influence these people had on me, I didn't have a choice. When I went to college and I joined the fraternity, I was the liaison that really handled mentoring and connecting the fraternity to schools and all of that. And then when I became, I was big on mentoring as a high school principal. I was big on mentoring as an AP. And then when I was in Baltimore County, I was over to my brother's keepers initiative, right? I was that representative. And then I went to Kansas City and put it in place and put it on steroids, and it really turned into a national model that we're trying to replicate here. And Andre, I think, is doing a good job. He's undermanned. I think we're working on making some adjustments to offer some additional support in what happens with him so he can continue to grow the program. But it's something that's near and dear to my heart. I mentor about, I don't know, 15 to 17 kids over at A High. It's refreshing, and it's a variety of kids. It's white kids, it's males, blacks, it's females, it's Hispanics, it's kids in the Apex, kids in IB, neighborhood kids. And it's just refreshing to have these conversations with them about, how do they view this world, and how can I help support them in getting there, as a mentor of theirs.
So, and I got to say, so to that point, right, we talked about, you being involved in the community and people seeing you in the community. So I'm there for those mentoring sessions. And the beauty of it is, as I say to those students all the time, this is so impactful, because I remember as a high school student, I didn't even know who my superintendent was of my school district, alone that would be sitting in the same room as me being able to, have a conversation with them and him pouring into me directly. So I think that's such a blessing. And I know that's something that a lot of superintendents don't do, because your schedules are so packed. But and I remember when you came to me, like, I got to get back into the schools. And when we talked about, you're like, just lit up. I'm feeding. I got to get back to the schools so I can do some mentoring.
Thank you for making that happen. Hey, y'all, I just got to say this to you because it's going to make y'all laugh. So I went to play in the A High faculty and staff game, I don't know, maybe about 4 weeks ago. And the way these kids were following me, you would think that I implemented a full cell phone ban in this district, like I did something bad to them. And so then I'm mentoring the kids because I got hurt in the game. And I think, I got hurt. And so I'm mentoring the kids, and one of the kids in my group, he gonna come up to me after the mentoring session was over, when it was like, yeah, Dr. Bedell, when you getting back on the court? I said, man, you the one that hurt me. I said, I'm getting back on the court with you. He was like, I did? I said, yeah, you need me right above my knee, man. It took me out.
Oh gosh. That's funny. But listen, Dr. Bedell, as we transition, we got a couple of questions we want to ask. And I just want to ask you this. Looking ahead, what is the legacy you want to leave behind for Anne Arundel County Public Schools as you move into other areas of your life, Dr. Bedell? If you could I know you still have work to do here. You definitely still have plenty of work to do here. But looking down the road, if you could just think about it.
I think for you, the legacy needs to be that the kind of systems you put into a system, the kind of people that you brought into a system, that they live beyond your years, right? The worst thing that I think leaders can do is come in and they force a system and they force people. And so people are working because it's compliant based. And I've seen too many districts crumble when those leaders leave. So what I've tried to do is really bring everybody along around these systems and say, okay, what does it look like 10 years from now, right? This whole gatekeeper model, I don't know that it ever returns out here. I would also say to you, we took a bold position that we weren't going to get rid of anything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion in any document. A lot of districts went and removed all of that, after the last election. And now, a circuit judge has found that there was overreach on part of the Department of Ed in the White House. So all of these districts that removed it, are they going to put the stuff back in, right? So we've just taken this position that everything that we put in, we're looking at middle school reform. I want to dismantle and redesign the middle school experience. I think a lot of school districts suck at really the middle school. We do good in elementary. We tend to do good in high school. I don't think we do enough for the kids in the middle. So we're going to look at really redesigning what the middle school experience looks like in this county. And then for me, it's going to be sure that kids are not being trapped, right? I get tired of people saying, oh, this kid is a career ready kid. Nah, look, we're not tracking kids into whether you go into a career or college. I'm going to prepare you for both. That's why I require everybody to take these pre-SATs and SATs so you don't have opportunities close on you because people want to track you into a certain pathway, right? The opportunity to facilitate change is to be in positions like I'm in, where you can stop the onslaught of people rolling back time and trying to conduct harm on folks who have already been harmed enough. And so that's kind of the legacy that I want to leave. And if I can just say this to you, sir, I'm going to read this to you because I know we got about 9 minutes left. This is hot off the press. I just received this yesterday, and this is about legacy. I'll read this. This is the Freedom Wall Commission in Kansas City, Missouri. I've been nominated for rescuing the Kansas City School District from a 22-year plight of non-accreditation. It took great courage and determination to do what you did, and the positive effects are still felt today because of your great work with your team. You will be enshrined on the Kansas City Freedom Wall Monument to Freedom, Justice, and Courage on the weekend of Juneteenth, Saturday, June 20th. So I'm going back to Kansas City for the first time since I left. That's legacy. That's what I'm trying to do out here.
Amen. Well, that definitely speaks to legacy, and it tells the impact that you definitely had out in Kansas City. Hopefully that will carry over into this county as well as as you continue to move forward within the county.
Yes, sir.
Andre?
So, Dr. Bedell, when we think about technology, right, and AI and ChatGPT and Copilot, right? How are we, or how are you instilling into the staff to prepare students for careers that might not exist yet?
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, we have a task force that's working through Mike Burkowski. I think Christina Catalano, they're all a part of that task force. And I really do believe that we have a responsibility to educate kids on how to be good users of AI, right? And not have AI ultimately do the work for them, because AI just regurgitates what people put in. So we want our kids to have original thought, and maybe there's opportunities to use AI to kind of help refine those original thoughts. But I think as a superintendent, I do think we have a responsibility to really help our kids understand how to be good human beings. And these are things that are a part of the portrait of a graduate. We educate kids who really understand how to be good human beings, empathetic community members. They are critical thinkers. They really want to be challenged, and they want to really explore their curiosity. We have to give them kind of parameters for how to do that. And so we have a task force that's really focusing on that right now, really
Great.
helping kids to understand that here's what's going to be available. And our job is to kind of help prepare you for this world that does not yet exist. I was doing this kind of stuff back in 2008, 2009, when I was a high school principal, because we saw how the world was shifting. And so it's no different now in terms of what we have to do as we're working at on AI and all of that now.
Amen. Amen. That sounds great. All right. Let's talk about teachers and employees. And I mentioned this a little earlier. Are there concerns about shortages and burnout? I know you said there was an overage in some things like bus drivers and other areas of the employment system. And how is Anne Arundel County schools, public schools, attracting and keeping strong educators in the classroom? What are some of the
Well,
things, if you could go into that a little bit, what are you doing to attract and keep them?
first of all, I think we're paying them very well now. So that's changing
Yeah.
everything.
Yes.
I think we have one of the best insurance packages. It's the best insurance package I've ever had in my life. And I think most employees will say that, just
Yes.
given how expensive things are with health insurance. And then it's the little things. Man, take care of your people.
Yes.
Like for me, I give all of our employees winter break and spring break off. I don't ask people to come in and we don't ask them to use vacation days to come in. And you know
Yeah.
who's most appreciative of that? I know you all are, but when the custodians in the building come to me and they're
Mm-hmm.
saying to me, "Thank you, Dr. Bedell," and these ladies are telling me, and then I'll say, "Well, what did you do over the break?" I got to spend the entire break cooking and hanging out with my grandchildren. Thank you,
Mm.
because that's something we haven't done. Those
Yeah.
little things go a long way. Giving
Yeah.
people virtual work days. We've done these things to really show people that we value them. And honestly, you know, for people who are complaining that, oh, workload is heavy, all of this, then I would say go find another system. But the reality is nobody's leaving because we're treating people very well.
I can attest to that. No question about it. Andre, would you like to
You know,
comment on
I remember being a building principal, and when it came to Christmas break in particular, that winter break, it was like, okay, you get, Christmas Day or Christmas Eve off, but then that 26th, 27th, 28th, it was like, okay, either you're going to take off or you're going to
that?
come in.
Yeah.
So, and even so, it was like, so what you did, I think it does speak volumes, Dr. Bedell, and it's made a huge difference, right? Because it
No
totally
question.
changes the mindset, and people feel appreciated, right? Educators are so unappreciated sometimes, and educators, and then when I say educators, I'm talking about everyone with a school
Yeah.
system, within the
Yes.
custodians, the secretarial staff, the bus drivers, the food
Administrators.
workers,
Yep.
administrators, like educators are often unappreciated for a job that, like, if it's not for educators, no one has any jobs. No one is going anywhere. So I think all
Great
those
point.
things you just mentioned are key. And to some, you might say it's a small thing, but it's a huge thing to others, right? Some of the
Yeah.
things that you've done is a huge thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why the retention rate is so great, and people
I
want to
agree.
come.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay, now we're gonna shift it to our lightning round real quick. And Dr. Bell, I'm gonna tell you, I have my eye on the Philly and the Celtics right now. And Philly's leading the Celtics by 7 points right now, as a matter of fact.
What? Get out of here. Are you serious?
84-77 in just about the end of the third quarter. But anyway, as a big basketball fan, who do you see making it to the NBA Finals? Just give me your predictions on who you think is making it to the finals.
Don't say the
Uh,
Knicks. Don't say the Knicks.
I'm not saying the Knicks. I'm not saying the Knicks. OKC on the Western.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody can beat OKC. And honestly, I really do think Boston, if Tatum is playing the way that he's playing again, I think Boston goes back. I don't think they beat OKC though.
Do you think San Antonio can be a threat to OKC out there?
I
Oh, they're
think
not
San
ready.
Antonio
Oh,
can
they're
be a
not ready.
threat. I think
Yeah.
I think that series will go to maybe 6 games, maybe 7. I just think with OKC being fully healthy now, having those two centers and the way that they play defense, I absolutely I don't think anybody can beat them. That's just where I am with it at this point.
Last basketball question: is this LeBron's last year, or do you think he'll try and come
No,
back? You think he's
no,
coming
he's
back?
coming back. He's coming
I
back.
think.
He wants.
I
I
think.
think he wants one more try with
Yes.
Luca and Reeves because I think they'll have an absolute. I think they'll have a good chance to potentially do.
Okay. All right. Andre, on you, buddy.
All right, so I guess before I ask this question, I want to ask, before I get to this question that's on the screen, I want to ask this question, Dr. Bedell. I know you are a sports junkie, right? You are a sportsaholic. If you were a sportscaster, what's your catchphrase? What did you say? We know Stuart Scott had booyah, it's cold as the pillow. What's your catchphrase here, Dr. Bedell?
I mean, I don't know what my catchphrase would be. It would be. I tell you what my catchphrase would be. That's ridiculous. That don't make any sense. What I just saw. Now that's ridiculous. Because I do it all the time. I even with my wife, I'll be like, man, this is ridiculous. You gotta see this. And she'll be like, you know what? You over exaggerate a lot, on these whatever. You don't understand how hard some of this stuff is that these people are doing.
All right, let me get to the question on the screen. So, being honest about your exercise approach, do you have a dedicated grind, or is it a get in when you can, or are you like really putting time aside?
Get in when I can. It's hard, man. I mean, like tonight I would have gone and hoop, but I was doing this tonight. But so when I can get it in, I try. And the problem is, I'm on the road all the time with volleyball, so
Yeah.
the weekends get hijacked. So my goal is, okay, let me get out. I'm gonna get my steps in at a volleyball tournament. Trust me, all
That
that
was,
walking, so I'll get the steps in there. But the best workouts for me has been when I can get out and play basketball, because you get a full body workout with basketball. Even when you don't want to sprint,
mhm.
sometimes you're gonna have to sprint if you don't want to get that layup block.
All right, well, Dr. Bedell, listen. Annually in the summer, we always have a Night Brothers barbecue. So are you gonna pull up or what, man? If you do, you coming solo, or you gonna bring the family with you? And what are you bringing if you come, man? That's what I want to know.
I mean,
Inquire-
I'm probably bringing my family,
yeah.
and it depends on what y'all talking about. I mean, I smoke stuff. I mean, I
Go
do what
ahead,
I do.
man. You don't even play. Stop playing, man. Stop
Man,
playing.
I got a smoker right upstairs, and and I don't master how to do brisket. I'm a problem on that brisket now. Okay, I don't figured it out.
All right. So we will.
It took me a long time, but I got it now.
Once we get this date confirmed, I'm gonna be breaking you off with that date, and we're gonna get this thing hooked up, man. Andre will be there, so we'll all get together and have some fun. And
And
bring
we can pull out the spades, and we can pull out them spades then too.
bring
Come
out
on,
the
man.
spade, pull out the spades too at the same time. So,
What we talking about? Let's do it. Bring the cornholes too. I'm
oh
good with
yeah, we
that
can
too.
do that. We can do that. Well, listen, Dr. Bedell, we just want to thank you for your time, man. As you've always been so gracious with your time, and as I was saying off air, I want to say the same thing on air. That guys, I want you to realize that Dr. Bedell sometimes has incredibly long days, and so even after a long day, he took the time because he thought it was important enough to be on the show tonight, so he could talk to us and talk to the community. And guys, we should give him a round of applause for that. Come on, let's give him a round of applause for that. Drop a one in the chat group if you appreciate Dr. Bedell being on with us tonight. And Lanny, I'm gonna let you and Andre close this thing out, and then Dr. Bedell have the final word.
I'm gonna turn it over to Andre. Get your colleagues. Go ahead.
I mean, I think Q really he summed it up. I see Dr. Bedell sometimes throughout the day, and sometimes he's looking like, man, I'm just tired, but I got to keep on pushing forward, right? And then there's other times you can just see that he's got this crazy spunk as he's walking down the hall. So yeah, I think it's great, and I mean it just speaks to his character and what he wants, and just being in tune with the community. And I've had many people who have come up to me and say, man, is Dr. Bedell really that type of guy? Is it a facade? And I say, no, that's just who he is. Like what you see on TV, what you see on board meetings is who he is. Like there is no facade. It's just like he's 100% authentically himself. So and that's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I think I have a responsibility to not only move this system, but to try to move people in this field. I think for me, I'll say to people, the one disappointment I have right now is that I haven't produced the superintendent out of Anne Arundel County yet. I got 6 out of Kansas City that are sitting. I also know people are very comfortable here. The district compensates pretty well. It's a great place to live. And so I'm working to try to do that. But I just want to say this to everybody. At the end of the day, I don't take any of this for granted. I don't. People love you till they don't love you anymore, right? I've learned this over my years doing this work. So I don't. The accolades and all that. I've never done this work for accolades. I've never done this work for the access that it provides. I have no problem being a martyr behind doing what's right for children. And so my commitment will always be to doing what's right by children, even when everybody wants to throw the darts and shoot the bullets. I just have to do what I have to do to fight for kids, and that's what it's going to be.
Amen. Amen. Well, look, we want to thank you for coming on, as everybody said, and we want to thank the audience for just being one of the best audience on the internet, is what I call them. Somebody already want to play spades against you already.
Oh, look, that's Mimi. That's what we
want
on.
to be your space partner. I don't know. They might want to partner up with you.
I play, man, but look, where I come from, the twos are strong. Some people don't like to play twos strong. I play they strong spades where I come from.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Amen. So look, until the next time, and we look for great success next year. You have a automatic welcome to come on anytime you want. Just say the word to your colleagues there. And
All
we want
right.
to thank you for coming on tonight. All right.
All right. Take care, gentlemen. I'm going to
All
watch
right.
the rest of this
Audience.
game.
Good
All
night,
righty.
Holla.
audience.
All right. I'll see you
All right.
tomorrow. See you
Bye.
tomorrow.